Everyone? Welcome back to the Cyber Union. This is your host, Michael. Here at the Cyber Union, for those who are just tuning in, we do our best to help newcomers find the tools and resources they need to become successful in the industry. We cover topics such as pen testing and things related to incident response. So two different tracks there for you. And this week, we are answering a request from Temp Ravi 003, who asked for some information on Burp. Now, before I get started, Portswigger has some great information on their product, Burp Suite, and it's available for free. I'll put that link up. In this one, I wanted to focus on like a cursory overview of it, and also wanted to hit some trouble spots that I had when I was first using it. So this includes getting the certificate installed and getting the proxy set up are two of the biggest points of friction for most new people. All right, so let's get started with this Burp Suite. All right, before we get started, let's go over two fundamentals of getting Burp to actually work for you. The first thing we need to get set up is the proxy itself. This can be done in Mozilla. I'm assuming all of you guys are in Kali yourselves. This is the latest version. So with older ones, Iceweasel is going to look slightly different, but find your way to the advanced menu or network is an option. We're going to go in there into settings and make sure our manual proxy configurations are to the loopback address, which is 127.0.0.1, and the port is 8080. Realistically, this port can be anything, but you just have to configure your Burp Suite to do that. In this case, port 8080 is Burp Suite's default setting. Now, I do have use this proxy server for all protocols because I'm lazy, so feel free to do the same or select the correct one. After that is done, click OK. We should be good to go in Burp to intercept traffic. It looks like I already caught some stuff here, but I want to show you here. This is the setting in Burp Proxy Listeners that controls how your information is coming in, what interface. In this, I have loopback, which matches our network settings, and port 8080, which also maps back to our network settings. So all that's good. We're intercepting traffic okay. You should have some traffic coming in here now. If you are doing any secure HTTP traffic, you may run into some issues. So that's the problem we are going to solve next. Now with the intercept on, we need to navigate to this URL right here, http://burp. That's BURP. Here you're going to be presented with a clickable link that's going to download a certificate. So go ahead and click that, download the certificate. I already have the file on my system, so I don't need to save it again. We are then next going to go to Preferences. So the same advanced menu we were at before, making the network configurations. However, this time we're going to select a different tab, Certificates. We're going to View Certificates, and we don't have ours in there yet, so we're going to import our new one. Here I have 3. I'm going to select this first one, click Open. We're going to be prompted with a selection. We just need to say, hey, trust this CA to identify websites. Click OK. Problem solved. We can exit out of this. We are good to go to intercept secure traffic now. All right, guys, so let us hop right into Burp and learn how to do some stuff. This is an example of a HTTP GET request. Now, I'm not going to dig into this. I have some other videos on this. All right, that is about it for us today. Thanks, Ravi, for your awesome question. Thank you, Portswigger, for having an amazing tool. If you have any more questions, want us to dig in more into Burp Suite or dig into Zap, let us know. Help guide the future of this channel with your questions and comments. Keep staying tuned for more content as we lay out some more information. We're going to be hopping into some CTFs too coming into the new year and the end of the year. Look for a SANS Holiday Hack Challenge video. Lots and lots of cool stuff coming out. So stay tuned to our video, have fun, like, share, and subscribe, see you on social media, and see you next time here at the Cyber Union. Just check them out. Those other resources I talked about, PortSwigger and HackerOne, are also going to have information here. Check those out. I'm going to dig right into using the tool itself. And I definitely still recommend you go back and learn about all that other stuff before you dig into this, because this tool is not going to help you unless you know about the underlying technology and RFCs, right? Because that is what we are manipulating. So let's dive in. So this is this admin page for this web server here. And it's just saying, hey, I want this admin page. And I'm gonna let it go ahead and complete the request, because what I want to do is catch this login page. We're gonna log in test key, so we know that the password is in the password field. We're gonna send it, and our proxy is gonna catch it. Here. So now we have a couple of options we can do. We can either manually test these fields, or we can fuzz the fields. Let's go with the manual portion first. So whenever you get a request, even if it's in the history page, you can right click it and then send it to another tool. So here we have some options: Spider, Intruder, Repeater, and Sequencer. Spider does basically what bots do with Google. They go around and try to index the entire site for you. For Burp, it just tries to map the site out for you, and it's not well behaved. Even if it says don't follow the link, or it's in the robots.txt, it's still going to follow the links. And so essentially every page has embedded links, it's going to follow them. If we provided a scope, it's only going to follow the links that are within scope. So with this, if we did it, the Spider is going to click all these links, and it's going to fill in this page here. As you can see, we have a little bit filled in already. This is under the 8180 is the server we're checking out right now. So you can see it's filling it in. All the requests we do, which are right here, get filled in when we submit it. And if we go actually log in, we're going to see another page pop up here as well. And that's just a little background there. We may want to send this over to Repeater so that we can manually test this thing. So let's do that. Basically what Repeater does is allow you to manually test parameters. So we could do this with JSON or the cookie. So we could try incrementing it to see if we get different behaviors. Hit go when we want to submit. We have here we see invalid username or password. So it submitted all the password and username information again. But we changed the cookie ID. If we are able to predict a current session cookie, we may get in. Depending on how the website's designed, these may be more predictable. Some may be more predictable than others, rather. But what we want to test is this here. So I want to show you that we can just keep trying these, keep adding stuff to it, trying it, manually clicking. Now, sometimes we want to sometimes we want to just fuzz the mess out of these. And you can't do that manually. It'd take too long. We want to send thousands of requests. So in that case, we'd send it to Intruder. So again, I'm just right-clicking the request and sending it to a new tool. Like I said, you can do it anywhere. So send it to the Intruder. Here it is. And what we have here are some fields automatically highlighted. I think. It might not actually got sent. So let's send it again over to Intruder. There we go. There we go. So here is the target. You shouldn't have to change that. You may need to update this if it uses HTTPS for login. In our case, it does not. Here it automatically highlights some fields that you may want to fuzz. In this case, it's true. I may want to fuzz all of these, but I only want to do one at a time in this case. So I am going to clear these out. Now, say I have a good username, but I don't know a password. This case, we're going to say that the username is test. We know it's real, but we don't know about the password. So we're going to highlight the password. We're going to add it at that placeholder there saying, hey, we want to fuzz this guy. And then we're going to select payloads in a second. I just want to point out real quick before we move on that there are different options here. PortSwigger will go over these, and they each have different capabilities. If I'm not mistaken, Battery RAM will do the same information to multiple fields. Pitchfork will do different kinds. Cluster Bomb, I don't remember what it does, but Sniper is basically one field at a time, which we are going to do right now. So payloads, payload set. This is just a simple list, which allows us to use this to add possible passwords. Just a couple of passwords there. We can also copy passwords and hit paste. So if we had, say, the RockU, which has a bunch of passwords, right? It's built in Kali, and we want to copy those and put them in here. I just copied them and pasted them. Pretty simple process. And once you're ready, once you think you have what you need, make sure all these other options are correct. There's some URL encoding, which may be needed. You can add some rules. I'll let PortSwigger teach you about those. You're not going to use them in most cases, for basic testing anyways. These are just some ways that you can get your results. But I'm not going to change anything. I'm going to leave it the same and just start my attack. Now, I do want to point this out, that some functionality is disabled and that attacks are time throttled, which means they're going to force these passwords to be slower than they normally would in the full edition. Full edition is $300, which most of you probably don't want to pay. This is actually why I recommend Zap in most cases for web proxies, because they are not zapped. It's completely open sourced and free. So you can do all this functionality in there. There's a bunch of plugins as well, and you're going to have a much better time, and you're going to be able to stay in one tool. Now, if you want to use Burp, cool, by all means. I started out with Burp as well until someone pointed out Zap. Now I have a Burp license, so I'm going to use Burp. But this is the free version, since this is probably what you guys are going to be using. Now, a couple of things to point out here is some key items we want to look at with the intruder results are we want to look at the statuses. These 200s are actually misleading in this case, right? Because all these passwords are not going to be correct. And as the web server messing with you, those are false positives. What we can look at in that case is the length. What you will typically see is that the length of a successful login may be different. The length of a correct username and an incorrect password may be different. So these are all things you need to look at. In this case, everything is the same, and I would say that everything is incorrect. So here, by clicking on it, we can see the results of the request made. So this is the actual request, and the response is right beside it. Again, 200 OK, because it was actually able to provide feedback to you, but again, misleading because we didn't actually log in. All right, cool. So we learned two different tools. Now, a couple of other things I want to point out is just let's get familiar. So here's the sitemap already pointed out to you. As you navigate through the website, this sitemap is going to fill out because it keeps track of every new page that you identify on the website. Also the scope. In this case, I added the IP here. This looks a little bit crazy, but you can just do the IP. Just do the IP without all this craziness. It automatically did that earlier. when I added it. But you can just do the IP itself, and I would do any protocol in case it switches between secure and non-secure or changes ports. So I'd leave port empty as well. As you notice, I caught stuff on multiple ports because I didn't specify. It's a good setting to have there. So that's your scope. And also what you can do is with the scope, you can tell it to say, hey, I don't care about anything that's not in scope, which is a good idea, right? You don't want to be pen testing things that are out of scope you don't have permission to do. So this is particularly important with bug bounties and legitimate pen tests. Now, what you can do is also hide all this stuff intercepted that you don't care about by changing your option up here. You're saying show only in scope items. And then click out of it, it'll update it for you. Your proxy also contains history. So this is important so you can go back and see all your requests you made. And you can go back and start fuzzing. As you can see, I went to detect portal. I didn't do that. That was actually automatic. But it wasn't it's in my history, but I didn't intercept it. You don't see it in my sitemap. It's because of that setting. So settings are good. Options, there's some things you can do in here. I would leave the defaults. You don't really need to do anything there. Other than that, there's scanner, but this is a pro version only. So you won't be able to use that. Again, Zap has a scanner for free built in. Excuse me. Got a little cold here. Other than that, decoder is probably the last thing I want to show you. If you have some base64, which is pretty normal with web stuff, you can stick it in here. Anything URL encoded, you can stick it in here to decode. But you can also encode. So if you want to fuzz something and you need to encode it in some specific way, you can do it inside Burp and then drop it where you need to drop it to send a request. All right, that is about it for us today. Thanks, Ravi, for your awesome question. Thank you, PortSwigger, for having an amazing tool. If you have any more questions, want us to dig in more into Burp Suite or dig into Zap, let us know. Help guide the future of this channel with your questions and comments. Keep staying tuned for more content as we lay out some more information. We're going to be hopping into some CTFs too coming into the new year and the end of the year. Look for a Sans Holiday Hack Challenge video. Lots and lots of cool stuff coming out. So stay tuned to our video, have fun, like, share, and subscribe. See you on social media, and see you next time here at the Cyber Union.